Hello, everyone. Welcome to NYC Builds Bio first sponsored seminar series with SGA in collaboration with Genetic Engineering and Biotechnology News. SGA is an architecture, interior design, planning, and construction firm founded in 1991. With over 70 people in Boston and New York City, SGA pioneers tech-forward design that redefines how projects are visualized and delivered, including innovative life science projects. SGA's team-first approach and trademark creativity has resulted in over 300 million square feet of successful innovative commissions. This webinar is entitled Life Science Facility Planning Post-COVID-19. Thanks so much for joining us this afternoon. My name is Nancy Kelly, and I serve on the steering committee and as a founding member of NYC Builds Bio. I want to thank SGA for sponsoring this webinar and Kevin Davies, executive editor at GEN, for collaborating on this series. I would also like to acknowledge the founding and corporate members of NYC Builds Bio who make this programming possible. This is the last of 4 virtual events hosted by NYC Builds Bio this month. If you weren't able to attend, be sure to check out these programs on the NYC Builds Bio website. In early May, we hosted our first virtual quarterly breakfast, attended by over 100 registrants, entitled Uncharted Waters, which focused on the heroic efforts made by companies, institutions, and many of our members to produce and expand the testing capacity, personal protective equipment, and facilities needed to care for New York City patients during the recent COVID-19 crisis. You can access that event presentation and recording on the events page on the website. On May 19th, in collaboration with Genetic Engineering and Biotechnology News, we hosted a virtual webinar entitled Vanquishing the Virus, attended by nearly 200 registrants, which examined the top COVID-19 drug and vaccine candidates currently under development. Executives from 3 New York companies, Regeneron Pharmaceuticals, Mount Sinai Innovation Partners, and Tonix Pharmaceuticals, joined us and told us about the efforts they are making to vanquish the virus. On May 21st, in collaboration with BioCentury, we hosted a networking reception for current and prospective members, which included a discussion surrounding the business and financial impact of COVID-19 on the life sciences industry and healthy building employee strategies for returning to work. Bill Harvey of Newmart Knight Frank also gave a virtual tour of InnoLabs, Long Island City King Street Properties, which is currently under construction. Over 200 people registered for that, and we enjoyed time for member breakouts at the end of the call. We're currently planning the online programming for June, so be sure to check out the website for those events. The program today focuses on the unique strengths of our life science industry and research universities that has allowed the United States and New York City to build the strongest innovation engine for science and medicine. One of those unique strengths was the programmatic placemaking that drove the conceptual development of life science parks, facilities, accelerators, and laboratories. In these places, scientists and doctors came together to collaborate on new discoveries and innovation. Today, like many office tenants and other urban occupiers, the life science sector is reacting in real time to the COVID-19 outbreak. The term life sciences often brings images of lab space to mind, but that is not always the case. Many life science campuses in urban centers have as much office, training, meeting, and amenity space as they have lab space. As the nation's most influential life science clusters compete to attract top talent and researchers to their campuses, this webinar will examine how experts predict the design and development of leading life science facilities will evolve in the wake of the pandemic. How will the effect of COVID-19 on return to work affect scientific creativity? How will this affect the startup community's ecosystem? Our discussion will focus on laboratory design, infrastructure, equipment and technology, as well as the process of returning to work. We will also look at the important cultural change that may be required. We will hear from 4 experts in the field: Jeff Tompkins, founding partner from SGA, Anthony Montalto, associate partner, JBB, Robert Mitchell, principal and owner, Mitchell Associates Architects, and Jim Holland, managing director of professional services for Triumvirate Environmental. Before I begin, let me cover a few administrative details. There's a program highlighting the hosts and speakers for the meeting. These will be posted on the NYC Builds Bio website after the meeting. The program's also being recorded and will be available on the website and our YouTube channel after the meeting. If anyone's having technical difficulties accessing the Zoom room or other issues, please email info@nycbuildsbio.org or send a notice through the chat button at the bottom of your screen. Since many of you are participating in listen-in only mode, please feel free to submit your questions via the Q&A button on the bottom of your screen. We will open up for discussion and Q&A at the end of the program and will address as many of your questions as possible. So let's begin. I'd like to begin our discussion today by asking what we've learned from companies who have previously tried remote working strategies and have learned that working remotely from home is not the answer for innovation. Jeff, can you tell us about Sun Microsystems and their experience with decentralized locations?
Sure. Right around the time that Oracle was looking to purchase Sun Microsystems, we were doing quite a bit of work for them in their Burlington campus, and they were in the process of divesting themselves of retail real estate that they bought in Southern California that was utilized by folks that were working from home to be able to touch base and have some technology available to them that they might not have in their house. So this was right at the beginning of the work from home concept. And what they found was that these spaces didn't work very well at all. People would go there, they didn't interact with anybody else that was there. They'd go there, they'd get whatever they needed from that location, they'd go back home. And then after a period of time, they started to go back to the HR group and said, we don't want to work from home. Even though traffic is an issue and you've made your standard workplaces smaller to let us work from home, we'd rather have the space in the traditional office. We'd rather go there, even if we had to go there 4 days a week or 5 days a week, because we missed that interaction. They were seeing people leaving the organization. They were seeing increased issues with depression. These are studies that have been backed up in a number of cases. But people wanted that human interaction. They wanted to feel as they were part of a team. It's not that they couldn't do their work